What's up, guys? I'm Stoney the Storyman. I'm here today to tell y'all some stories. Now, not all of these stories will be mine, but I hope you enjoyed them all nonetheless. I'm really excited about starting this journey, and I'm happy to have you all along with me. So, let's get right into it. Stoney the Storyman. I'm here today to tell y'all a story about the first time I ever smoked weed. It was a very fun experience for me, and if you're watching this video, I hope you enjoy it. I'm glad you're here to enjoy the journey with me. So let's get right into it. So it was when I was a sophomore. I was playing soccer in high school. At the time, I just made it on a varsity, but I was still a bench player. And I was trying new things this year because before, like in eighth grade, my freshman year, I was a goody goody. I didn't cuss until like late eighth grade. It's very cringy. So like midway through sophomore year, I started vaping too, but not important. But anyways, I wanted to try weed that year. Later in the year, I had a really strong urge to try weed for the first time, try smoking. And at the time, I had played soccer, like I said, on varsity. Well, a few of the older kids, I knew a few of them that smoked. And early on in the season, around December, January, somewhere in there, while we were practicing, one of the seniors had actually asked me if I'd ever smoked, and I told him no. He told me if I ever wanted to smoke, I just needed to hit him up. So I said, bet. And fast forward to April, we had a game on this Friday that I asked him, and I actually just had this strong urge to try it on this Friday for some reason. I don't know what drove me to this, but it was actually 420 on this day too. It might have helped it a little bit. Anyways, I asked my friend, who we're gonna call Marcos, if he could get me weed on this day and show me how to smoke. He said, yeah, bet. Let me hit up the plug to see if he's got any. Well, he hits up his plug, and his plug doesn't say shit for like a few hours. So around 2 o'clock, his plug hits him back up and says he's dry. He texts me, and he's like, yeah, plug's dry, but let me ask one of the other kids on the team who smokes. This other kid on the team we're going to call Tech. Marcos hits up Tech, and Tech hits up his plug. And we actually decided to go and get an eighth since there was three of us, and I was just paying for mine and Marcos's. I threw in like 20. So Tech hits up his plug, and 20 minutes goes by, probably around that. And his plug hits him back up, and he's like, yeah, I can get you an eighth. He texts us, and we're like, bet, bro. Do you have your 10? And he's like, yeah, I got my 10. So after school gets out at 3:25. We meet up, and we go up to the field because we have pregame warm up. Let me get some water real quick. Sorry for that. We have pregame warm up, which is we just go through and we run all of our plays. We just get a little bit of practice in before. Lordy, sorry, I'm sick right now. And yeah, it's basically we just go up there to warm up, get ready for the game that day. So it takes about an hour. Hour goes by, and then we actually on varsity we have a few hours after until our game. Our game's at 7. We finish pregame at like 4:30 normally, and then we don't have to be back until I think it was like 6. Yeah, it was later. It was like 5:36, somewhere in there. But it was at 5:30 because the JV game started at 5:30, I think. Anyways, we would normally go get Subway. Was our normal pre-game ritual for most of us. Probably about 6 of us, and a lot of us did this throughout most of high school while we were on the team, since we could drive. But instead, we told some of the other guys that me and Tech will be there in a bit. We have to go do something, and we were actually going to pick up the weed because Tech had hit up his plug. He's like, "Hey, meet us at the park over by our school." Actually, how our park is set up, it's like you have the park, and then right next to the park entrance, like right behind it, like 50 feet away basically, is the middle school that I used to go to. And if you enter the park to the left, you have our primary school. And then if you go all the way through the park, there's a church at the very end, right after the playground. It's a very small town. But anyways, we drive over there. It's a 3-minute drive from the stadium that I played at. And we get over there, we're waiting. We wait probably about 5 minutes. And I'm not gonna lie, my ass was fucking nervous because, as I said before, I was a goody goody. I had never done anything like this, and my ass was fucking shaking, literally, driving my truck because of how nervous I was and how paranoid I was at the time of going to get this weed. So we get to the park, and there's two vehicles there. One I remember was a van. I distinctly remember that. I think it was to our left, and I think it was a light, like turquoise kind of color, if that makes sense. If you know, you know. One more car in the parking lot to our right, but no one was at it. So we wait about 5 minutes. Text plug hits him back up, says, I'm pulling up, and they pull up into the parking spot right in front of us to the right one space, if that makes sense. And at the time, remember how I said there was a van to the left of us? Well, that van was actually a mom's van. And she had her kids and she had them in the park and she was loading them up as a plug pulled in. So I was even more nervous and more paranoid, and I'm just trying my best not to freak out. And it was actually hard for me. So Tex plug pulls into the parking spot. He opts out. He's like, I'll be back in a minute. I give him the money. He goes, hops in the front passenger side of the car. And at the time, I would never have guessed who this plug was if you would have asked me to pick them out. Now, of course, I probably could. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it wouldn't be too hard. But at the time, I had no idea. So the plug was actually a girl. It was this like weeaboo girl. Like she wore fox hills and stuff like that, if that makes sense. And yeah, I never would have guessed she was the plug, but she was. And Tech gets this eighth. He talks with her for like 3 4 minutes. He comes back and he's got one hand in his pocket. I remember that. And he's like kind of skipping to run because he doesn't want to like crush the weed in his pocket. And there's that family to the left of us still. So he gets back in my truck. He's like, "Where do you want me to put it?" And I was like, "Here, just put it here." We put it in the center console, which was fucking retarded. Don't ever do that. Like, I had a very good hiding spot in that truck, and I should have told him to put it there, but I didn't, which was my mistake. And it didn't end up costing me, thank God, but still. So, anyways, he's like, "Alright, well, I'm gonna get mine out." And he, like, eyeballs his gram out of the eighth. He gets it, and he's like, "Alright, I'm good. Just drop me back off." I drop him off, I think, back at the stadium, and then I go get Subway and to meet back up with the other guys who went there before me. So I'm heading back there to Subway, and from our stadium, it's probably about a 14-minute drive, and that's one of the closest restaurants. Now, we do have two small restaurants in town, and one of them's like a restaurant slash like convenience store kind of thing. And I go to the Subway. It's, like I said, about 15 minutes. It's on a highway. And I go meet up with them. So I get there, and of course, they already got all their food. And thankfully, it was completely dead in there. Because if not, I might have been eating my sandwich on the way back, and the game would not have been very nice to me. It would have been a very rough game. So I got my food. They made it in like 2 minutes. My Subway sandwich is like extremely simple. All I get is like steak, cheese, and lettuce, non toasted, and it's on Italian urban cheese. Trust me, it's fire. But, anyways, I get my food. We sit down, we start eating. Well, they're already eating, but I start eating. And at the time, I was a bench player for varsity. I mentioned that earlier. And sophomore year was a rough year for that. I'll have a story on this later. But I was eating probably about $20 to $30 worth of candy a week at Dollar General. Like, it was to the point, like, I was going there so much that I could go in there, grab what I needed in the basket. Like, I'd grab the basket, grab what I needed, and I could guess how much it would be. Like, I'd get up to the register as I'm putting everything out for the lady to scan. I'd look there, and I'd normally pay in cash. And I'd look, and I'd be like, all right, it's probably about 26 bucks, or like 25.5 or something like that. And I would normally be within a dollar. It was very bad sometimes when there were times where I consistently hit like the number completely accurate. Like, it'd be like 20, and I would have the 20, and I'd be like, thank you God. Like, it just worked out perfect. Gosh, I need water. Sorry about that. I'm gonna light up this joint again real quick. So 1 second. All right. Now back to the story. So, anyways, as I said, Dollar General and all that, I was actually getting fat. My freshman year, I was in incredible shape. I could run like 10 miles. I couldn't run a mile hardly. My sophomore year was bad. I was out of shape because of how bad I ate. Back to the story. They had started eating their sandwiches earlier than me, like I said. But I actually finished my sandwich like my whole foot long before some of them did. I was hungry as hell. School had shitty lunch that day. I can't remember what it was. I just remember I was not down with it because some of their lunch was terrible. Some was okay. Lunch ladies were so nice. And anyways, I think I'd had a Rice Krispie treat and probably baked Cheetos too, cause school didn't have much and they had to like have healthy snacks kinda. They had Rice Krispie treats and ice cream, and they had cookies. I don't even know, but anyways, that's what I normally got was like 2 bags of baked Cheetos and maybe a Rice Krispie treat, or the other way around. Just depends. They're both like 75 cents. So we finish and then we head on back to the stadium. We left at probably like 4:45 ish, like so we had some time to burn. So we get back to the stadium, we get all of our stuff, and we go sit up in the bleachers. And we have about 30 minutes till the JV game starts. So a few people are starting to come in. JV's out there warming up, getting ready for their game. Probably, I think the other team showed up like barely on time. It was like 10 minutes before the game, if that. And they started warming up. So their game starts at 5:30. They're playing. We were watching them, and it wasn't too bad of a game, honestly. It was actually pretty good, especially for JV. No disrespect. Yeah, it gets to about 6:30, and we would always go down, get ready, in the locker room at 6:30, so we could go and practice before the game, get all warmed up, all nice and loosey goosey. So, anyways, we're getting dressed, we're getting our practice jersey on. That's what we would do. We wouldn't wear our game jersey out to practice. We would switch them after, which I fucking hated. Let me tell you, it was fucking retarded. It was fucking retarded. So, anyways, we go to our practice field, which is 100 yards away. We start warming up. We're getting ready. We're practicing. We're running some drills. Just getting ready. And all we're doing is really stretching and doing small, like, passing plays up there. That's it. I'm so sorry. I'm cold and sick right now, so it's just not working too well. But, anyways, we're passing and everything. We got out there probably like 6:45 to start doing all this, by the way. Our game's at 7:30, so at 7:20, we run back down and we start getting ready on the field. We take our side, we set up our cones and stuff. And on varsity, we like to play possession. That was probably our favorite thing to do, I would say, especially like pre-game warm-up. And possession, for those of you who don't know in soccer, is you have teams, you have two teams, and you just try and hold the ball the longest. It's very fun, actually. We play that, and we do that for, I think, 15 minutes. Their varsity was out there warming up. They didn't look too bad, actually. So we also have another drill we do the last probably about 5 to 10 minutes. Just depends how well we were watching the clock and how well possession was going. And defenders, by the way, would go out of the wings, like they go out of the side of the field and cross to each other down the field for later in the game. So the last drill we do is we have someone stand at the top of the 18, which is the big box in soccer in front of the goal. And we would stand around midfield, probably like 20 yards away. We'd pass to them. They'd lay off the ball. That means they just give us a light pass out. And then we'd take one touch or shoot it, one of the two. And you'd go get your ball, go back to the line. So we get through all that. We start the game. I'm on the bench. And I can't remember if we lost exactly, but I think we did. I think we lost 2-1 this game, actually, which is so sad. I only got to play like 30 seconds, and that's because I think someone got a yellow. So we get through the game, and I'm like, fuck, man. Everyone's pissed. It's not a good atmosphere. And I'm thinking at the time, I'm like, I still have that weed. I have that weed. Uh, I'm smoking, and that makes this a lot better. I was like, I'm excited, but I'm nervous. So that kind of washed away like the feeling of the game. And honestly, at the time, since I wasn't playing much, still loved the team, and I was basically a fan. Is what I was at that point. But it sucked when we lost, but it wasn't that bad. But anyways, I go grab the senior, Marcos, I think is what I named him. And my ass was so cringy at the time. I probably asked him like this. I was like, bro, uh, you you down to do the thing? You still down to do the thing later? He's like, yeah, 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 yeah. I was like, all right, bet. Just meet me out at my truck. And he's like, no, no, no. I'll meet you at the IGA. I was like, bet, bro. And the IGA from our school is only, I don't know, 15 minutes. It's not that bad. It's kind of over by the subway from earlier in the story. Sorry, I had to drink some water. But anyways, we go there, and he's already there before me because he had a sports car at the time. I think it's a BMW. He gets there, then I pull up not too long after him. And as soon as I pull up a park, roll down my window, I was like, "Do you have to grab anything?" And he's like, "Yeah, but first, can we go grab my cousin?" I was like, "Where's he at?" And he's like, "Oh, he's just down the road." I was like, "All right, yeah, I'm down." So he grabs a metal piece from a wooden like number 2 pencil, the part that holds in the eraser. If you know, you know. And I was like, "That's it." And he's like, "Yeah, do you have a bottle?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got a bottle." He's like, "Okay." So we go pick up his cousin, and his cousin literally was like half a mile down the road. And pick up his cousin. His cousin's on the side of the road. He hops in, and I'm not gonna give him a name because he's only with us for like a little bit. We go down this road a bit more that we picked his cousin up on, and it's literally, you can still see the IGA on this road. It's like straight in front of it, and we hop on the dirt road right in front of us because it goes like the paved road is a sharp right, like you have to go literally like 10 miles an hour because it's so sharp. But if you keep going straight, it's a dirt road. So we hop on that dirt road right there, and it's late. It is 10, I don't know, 10:20 maybe. It was getting late in the night. No, it was probably about 10. It was getting late. And we get down this dirt road, and he's trying to make this. At the time, I didn't know this, but I know now. He was trying to make a steamroller with this metal part that he had from number 2 pencil and my bottle that was empty in the back seat because I was a slob. And I would throw my empty bottles back there sometimes after practice because I'd be chugging water sometimes, I'd be dying. But anyways, he tried to make this work and he could not get it to work. And I'm over here and I was like, damn, bro, I just want to smoke. I was like, that game kind of did suck to lose, but I was excited to smoke, which helped take my mind off of it because I was nervous at the same time as much as I was excited. So yeah, he's trying to get this steamroller to work, and I had no idea like how to do any of this, so I'm just watching and trying to learn. You know, monkey see, monkey do. And this guy couldn't get it to work, and I'm like, fuck, man. And he's like, you have paper towels or anything? And I was like, bro, I'm not smoking out of school paper. He's like, it worked, and I'm like, nah, bro, I'm not doing that. So, anyways, I had toilet paper. He tried rolling a joint with that. It didn't work, of course. And he struggled with it for about 10 minutes, and I thought he had it. Like, he tried to light it up, but it just wouldn't stay together at all. So he's like, fuck, let's go back to my car. I have shit there. And I was like, fuck, man, alright. So we go back to his car. It's about a mile away. He gets some shit out of there, hops back in. We go back down the dirt road. And this time, he had gotten something else. I think he had gotten a thimble and trying to make it work in the bottle, but something happened and it didn't work. Just can't remember exactly what. I think he might have like melted the bottle too much. So, anyways, we go back to his car again, and I'm a little irritated at this point, but I'm like, you know what? He's doing me a favor. I'm just gonna keep going with it. So we go back to his car, and he's like, all right, let me get something else. This man goes and gets, I remember distinctly, it was a Minute Maid carton, like a 1 gallon carton, and he had made it into a steamroller, which I didn't know at the time. So he grabs that, he hops back in, I'm like, do you have everything to make it work? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, alright, bet. We go back down the stir road, and he puts the thimble inside the Minute Maid carton and makes a steamroller. I didn't know at the time what he was doing, and it was dope to me. I was like, damn, that's awesome. So, anyways, he like tries it out real quick without any weed in it to see if it'll like suck in and if it's like airtight enough. And he pulls, and then the sides like compress a little bit because the air is getting pulled out. And he had put a hole on the side of the steamroller too, to make it like a homemade bowl. And he had his finger there, pulled, air compressed, And anyways, it worked. And he's like, all right, let me try it. So he puts a little bit of weed in there. He like grinds it up a little bit with his hands. He puts it in there. And after this man puts it in there, he looks at me and he's like, all right, bro, watch how I do this. And then I'll explain it to you after. And I was like, okay, um, let me see how you do it. Puts his finger on the side. He lights it and he's pulling. I see the sides compress a little bit. And it's burning the weed up top. He lets go of his finger and he pulls a little bit more, inhales, clears it. Well, he blows it out and it's not a bad hit. I didn't know that at the time, of course. But he looks at me, he's like, alright, it's your turn. And I was like, oh shit, okay, let me try this. And they're both sitting over there, him and his cousin are sitting there explaining to me. Marcos is explaining to me. He's like, alright, put your finger right here. I'll light it and then I want you to pull, but don't pull too hard, just pull easy. And I was like, okay. And I pulled too hard the first time. He's like, whoa, whoa, go a little easier. And I was like, okay. Start pulling a little easier. And it's pulling a bit better. He's like, all right, take your finger off the side and then pull some more. So I took my finger off the side and held some more. And I was like, oh shit. And then I turned and I blew it out. And I was like, oh fuck, bro. I was like, it's different from vaping because I was vaping no nick at the time. Yeah. Actually, yeah, that's what I was doing. My vape hadn't gotten taken yet. But anyways, he's like, so how was it? I was like, it wasn't that bad, honestly. I didn't even really cough much on my first hit. I think I took like one cough, that was it. Just 'cause like it was a little different from vaping. But I had a box mod at the time, so I could take like pretty decent size hits. So my lungs were fucked. Like honestly, they were absolutely fucked at the time. Which is one of the reasons I kind of got fat too, because you run as much when your lungs don't work as well. That's the vaping. But anyways, I cough like one or two times, and then he passes it to his cousin. His cousin hits it, and then it's cleared. So he packs some more in it, and then he hits it, and then passes it to his cousin. He hits it, and then I take a hit, and we do that one or two more times, and then I'm not high yet, but both of them are over here, and they're like, "Yeah, bro, I'm blasted. Like, I'm fucking high, high." That's what they were saying, shit like that. And I'm like, bro, I'm not feeling it. And I remember two times I had gone over there, like to my driver's side door, opened the door, and I was like, bro, I'm not feeling it. Like, what am I supposed to feel? Like, how long does it take? The normal questions that, like, someone who's never smoked would ask. He's like, you'll know when I hit you. And he's like, don't know how long it'll take, but you'll know. He's like, just keep hitting it. And I was like, alright, fuck. So I go back there, and after doing those two times, I'd packed it one more time, and we had already gone through probably like a gram and a half, and I had smoked more than both of them, and that was not good. Let me tell you, that was a very bad idea. And I finish this pack, I clear it, I pack another one, and I take a hit. I finish this hit, and as I'm blowing out, I'm like, bro, I'm not even high. I had that same thought the entire time, like throughout this entire time. I'm like, am I high? No, I'm not. I'm not high. Like, but when I finally said, bro, I'm not even high, this kind of sucks. That shit hit me like a train. Like, let me tell you, it was like indica. I didn't know that at the time, but it was like straight indica. Shit hit me like a train. So I go up to him. I'm like, bro, I think I feel it. I'm like light. I was like, this ain't too bad. He's like, yeah. He's like, where's all the stuff? And I was like, oh, it's back there. He's like, I will clear it out and then grab it and come bring it back in. And I was like, all right, bet. I grab it, go bring it back in, and I'm high. I'm getting higher and higher and higher as it goes. I get back in the truck, get all the stuff, and then we all go back to the IGA right back behind us. I drop them off, give them all the stuff, and I was like, hey, bro, you can keep the weed. Uh, I don't need it, bro. I'm good. He's like, alright, bet, bro. And it was only like, if I had to guess back then, probably like point 0.4. It wasn't much. Maybe like point 0.5, point 0.6. Anyways, it wasn't very much. I dap him up. I told Marcus and his cousin, I was like, hey, y'all be safe. It was fun. I really do appreciate it. Thanks for showing me how to smoke. He's like, yeah, no problem, bro, no problem. So anyways, he got some weed in the end. He was happy. Because he got a free smoke sesh basically because I paid for all the weed. I start driving back home, and my ass had forgotten that I had to drive all the way to my mom's, which is about 35. It's probably about 35 minutes from where I was. And I start driving back, and I am high as hell. So for some reason, my dumbass had my seat like leaned back very far at the time. How I used to drive, it was kind of retarded. Like I was relaxed. I would drive with like basically my hand on the wheel, just one hand, and that'd be it. Don't ever do that. It's retarded. So, anyways, I'm driving back, and I didn't put my chair up, which I do now. Whenever I'm high, I put my chair up some, and it like helps me drive, I guess. Anyways, I'm so high, and this shit's like a very strong indica that I'm basically looking through. I'm slumped down in my chair, in my truck chair, because I had a truck at the time. I had an F-150, like the '03 to the '07 model. You know, if you know, you know. And we had a nickname for it. All the soccer guys called it, all the Mexicans and everything, and all my buddies. We called it the Beaner Mobile, is what we called my truck. And one of my Hispanic friends at the time, like who played soccer with me, he started our sophomore year because he didn't play our freshman, so they put him on JV his sophomore year. But anyways, he was the one who gave it the name. So anyways, actually, did he? No, he didn't. One of my other friends gave it the name Beaner Mobile. But anyways, he was the one who liked it the most. That's what he would always call it whenever he saw me. He's like, "Oh, you pulled up in the Beaner Mobile today," and I was like, "Yeah." Got to sue every day. It's the only thing I got. Anyways, I'm slumped down in my chair. And I'm slumped down so far, I'm looking through my steering wheel and my dash. It's probably about 2 inches of space. And I'm literally looking through that drive. And how I'm driving is I have one wrist up on the steering wheel. And my wrist is higher. It's probably, my wrist I think is higher than my head, honestly. That's how far down I am. And my other arm is in between the seat and the door. It's just sitting there because I'm high as hell and I cannot move my body like I want it to. Don't ever drive like this. It's very bad, especially not for your first time. I'm gonna get some water. Alright, sorry about that. But anyways, I'm driving like this, and it's a long fucking drive, and I take the longer route instead of taking like the 35-minute route. I take like the 30. It's probably about 37, probably, just because there's more light through this way, and it's not as like dark the entire way. I wanted to be able to see very well because I was high as hell. Like those first highs are something else. God damn, are they? Anyways, I'm driving, and probably about 15 minutes in, my right hand, for some reason, is starting to fall off. Like, it's starting to fall off. And I'm like, oh fuck. Oh shit. Like, I gotta do something. I have to do something. I was like, I won't have a hand on the steering wheel. My high ass was freaking out that bad. So, my right hand goes to fall, and at perfect timing, I like roll my body to the left, like pick up my right shoulder some because my right arm's up some, so it's kind of easy. And I go over to the left some, and then I twist my body back to the right and like throw my left arm kind of up. It's really stupid when you think about it, but it somehow like made complete sense at the time. And I threw my left arm up, and it landed just in time on the steering wheel, exactly on my right arm was. My right arm fell in between the seat and the center console because there's a little bit of space right there. And I was like, whew. I just dodged a bullet. I was like, I could have died right there. And I was freaking out more than I had to. You know, just sorry, I had to get some water. But I was really just being paranoid as fuck. And I'm driving for probably another 10 minutes. And my hand's falling off again. My left hand is. And about 25 minutes in, so I'm almost there. I'm going through the last bit of town, and then it's basically just a stretch of like highway kind of thing to get to my mom's. My left hand decides it wants to fall off on a turn because I have to take a left turn to go to my mom's, and that's basically straight almost all the way to my mom's. There's one last turn, but it's like 100 yards from her house. But when I go to take this turn, my left hand decides it wants to fall off because I have to turn so far. And in the moment, I do the same thing as I did earlier, but opposite. So I raise my left shoulder and just throw my right hand up on the steering wheel. And my hand, I threw it too hard, and it almost went over the steering wheel. And I freaked out, and it caught the side, like my wrist caught the side of the steering wheel, but it didn't jerk the wheel really. So I just like tried my best to like inch it over back the center of the steering wheel so I can drive. And keep in mind, like I was still slumped down, looking through the steering wheel on the dash right there, that little bit of space. Thank God for tint, because that tint I had on that truck was like 15% on the front. Because if someone would have seen me in a fishbowl with no tint, I would have been so fucked. Like a cop would have seen me. He's like, "There's no driver in that thing, but it's driving. I'm pulling that bitch over." So, anyways, thank God I passed two cops on my way home, and let me tell you, I was fucking freaked out. And both of them were on this last stretch, and they were together. Thank God, because I was honestly freaked the fuck out when they passed. I was like, "Oh fuck, they're gonna pull me over. Fuck, they're gonna pull me over." And when I saw them, I was probably 5 minutes from my house. And keep in mind, my right hand's on the steering wheel. I'm still slumped down on the seat, looking through the steering wheel on the dash. I see those cops, and I'm, like I said, 5 minutes probably from my mom's house. And for some reason, I just get control of my body again. I literally, like, this scared me so bad, I straightened up a little bit, and I got to where I could see above the steering wheel again, and I was like, holy fuck, I can see. I could see. And it was amazing. Because honestly, I couldn't see hardly shit before. And now I could, like, see again. And I'm not a bad driver. Like, I drive side by sides and shit like that sometimes, and I'm not too bad. And I can see again, and I'm like, holy shit, I just gotta drive normally. I managed to pull my other arm up too when all this happened and grab the steering wheel. So my left and right hand are now on the steering wheel, driving back to my mom's. And I'm like, oh shit, okay, okay, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. All right. I passed the cops. I'm like, I'm looking in my rear view mirror this entire time too, because it's a long stretch. These cops are on that I passed them on. It's like a quarter to half mile stretch maybe that we can see each other, and they pass by. And I'm like, shit, okay, I didn't get pulled. Just gotta slow down, go the speed limit, and I'll make it there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I get there probably. I think it's probably 11:30. Probably by the time I get there, and I pull up. My mom lives in the neighborhood, so I pull up into the neighborhood. Keep going. Take the first right, and then pull up into my house. That's down the block a little bit. And actually, I take that back. At the time, I parked on the curb. I don't do that anymore, but I parked on the curb at the time in the street. And I park, I hop out, I grab all my shit. This is important. I had cologne and gum because I went at the Dollar General every week. I told y'all that earlier. I would get gum too. So I put in a piece of gum, sprayed cologne on me, grabbed my stuff, and then I locked my truck, walked up to the house. It's 20-yard walk to the front door, and let me tell you, it was kind of a shit walk, but it was a very fun walk at the same time. It would be fun to do it again, honestly. Like, I went there, I'm walking up, and it's a steep driveway. Like, you can't run full speed up it, like, it's that type of steep. Like, you could do hill climbers on it, kinda. And walk up the driveway, walk up through the walkway, walk up the steps, walk up to my door, unlock the door, and before I open the door, I look, see if the alarm's on. It's not. I open the door, walk inside, I close the door, and I have one of those turning knobs on my door. So, yeah, I'm keeping it turned. I'm trying to be quiet because, like I said, it's 11:30. My mom trying to sleep. So, gosh, I need water. Sorry. Anyways, I then go into the garage because that's where we had our water. Like, we got city water, and where I'm from, city water is absolutely disgusting. Like, it's infested with chemicals. It tastes terrible. So I drink bottled water when I'm over at my mom's normally. But I go into the garage, which as soon as you walk into my kitchen soup, the garage is 2 steps right to your left. So I walk down into the garage, and it's like 4 steps down into the garage. Walk over to the fridge out there, which is right next to the stairs. Open it, grab me 2 waters I think out. Walk back up to the door, open it, close it as quietly as possible, and then set the alarm. I go over to my mom's door. I knock, and she says yes, and I'm like, I'm going to bed, Ma. Good night, and I love you. And she's like, good night, love you too. So I walk back to my room, drop my stuff off, and I'm sitting there high as fuck. I mean, god damn was high. It was crazy, and like I said, it was indica. And by the time I get back in bed, I've taken off my clothes and stuff, so my underwear, and I'm sitting there, laying on my bed watching TV. Can't remember what I was watching. Probably South Park at the time, honestly, because it was on Hulu at the time still, like regularly. And I'm watching that probably. um, sorry I'm so unclear. And anyways, I'm just laying in bed, like experiencing this feeling of being absolutely fucking blasted. I wasn't in another dimension type suited, but I was high. I was high. If I put it on my scale nowadays, I like rate my shit on a scale 1 to 10 normally. It would definitely be probably it was probably like a 7 or 8 on my scale nowadays because I've smoked a lot sometimes and got a bit too fucked up or taken too strong of edibles. But those are stories for later. But anyways, I'm experiencing this high, and while I'm laying there, I send my streaks because I used to send them at night. I send all those, watching TV, and I just end up passing out. I woke up the next morning, and it was Saturday morning. The next morning, probably like an hour later than I normally do. When I wake up in the morning for school, maybe 30 minutes. Can't remember. But I knew I slept so well. I do remember that. It was the best sleep I had had in a long time. And I was like, damn, I got high last night. And I just had a grin on my face. Like, I had a big smirk on my face. And I was like, I smoked some weed last night. I got high for my first time last night. Like, let's go. I went to the mirror. So, my room is connected to a bathroom that's connected to another room. And that's the room my brother has. You'll hear about that room later. But I go into the bathroom and I look in the mirror and I'm like, you did that. Like, oh shit, bro. And I'm freaking out. And I was like, you smoked weed for the first time. Like, that's dope as hell. Hold on, I'm gonna light up this joint. Shit. But, anyways, yeah, it was a great time. Even though it was a great time, it was still a very different and new feeling to me. And I actually didn't try weed again for months. It wasn't until my junior year where I tried weed again, and I'll have a story time on that. It'll be about a bonfire, so just keep that in mind for the future. Yeah, that was my story on first time smoking weed. If you stayed with me to the end, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I hope you subscribe and leave whatever you thought was right for it, I guess, like a like or a dislike. It's up to you. But subscribe, and I hope you join me on this journey that I'm starting. And there will definitely be a lot more stories in the future, I think. So, yeah, good night. Make sure to puff puff and pass, but ash before you pass. Y'all have a good night. This is Stoney the Storyman, here and out. Hey guys, I'm Stoney the Storyman here back again. I just want to go ahead and apologize for the terrible sound quality in this video. It will be better in the future videos, I can assure you that. I'm currently looking into newer mics. I'm also looking on YouTube for newer ways to edit, and I'm trying out different things to see if I can get a better result for y'all. And I just want to let y'all know, the reason my voice was so shaky and there was all the background noises is because I was recording outside at the time I recorded this video, out on my porch so I could smoke a joint. And yeah, I'm sorry for that. It's just, that's the mood I was in that day. Now, thank y'all again for joining me on this journey. Y'all have a wonderful day. This is Stoney the Storyman, here and out.